So can we start?
Yeah, I'm ready if you all are ready.
So can we start?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Good evening, one and all present here. I'm Akil Kumar, and for today's session, I'm the host. So today is the 11th day of 14-day online internship program organized by NDRF in association with the IEI Kanpur Local Center. Before moving on to the technical session, there is an announcement. An online event is arranged on 24th July 2021, Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Event is titled as Techno Spotlight. NDRF organizes monthly Techno Spotlight events to showcase innovative projects, engineering students, and startups. A startup mentored by NDRF shall be present in the innovative project on converting banana waste into value-added product. This event is free event and open to everybody interested in innovative engineering technology. Padma Shri M. Annadurai shall be the chief guest. We welcome you all to this event on the day, and the online link of the event should be shared in few days. Please inform to your friends and faculty to attend the meet. The event is titled as Techno Spotlight. Coming back to the session, for today, today's session is Modern Quality Concept for Circuit Branches of Engineering. And the speaker of the today's session is Srimati Archana Magadi, Project Consultant, UUCMS, Department of Higher Education, Government of Karnataka, Bengaluru. So I request all the participants to put their questions in the chat box of our YouTube channel, and we will take questions from there. So please keep on posting and also subscribe to the NDRF channel. Now, I would like to introduce the speaker of today's session, Modern Quality Concept for Circuit Branches for Engineering, Srimati Archana Magadi. Srimati Archana Magadi has 19 years of work experience that includes working with IT companies, being an entrepreneur, technical faculty in reputed college RBCE, and now a consultant to Higher Education Department, Government of Karnataka. And also completed her B in Electrical Engineering from ETU, Masters from University of Central Florida, Orlando, USA, and now almost to the flat end of PhD Engineering in Women Entrepreneurship. She also has certified Six Sigma Master Black Belt. She is also a member of ASQ, American Society for Quality, and member of Software Engineering Institute SEI, Carnegie Mellon. She also has published many papers on, has also guided final year students for their project successfully. She also been a regular speaker at NDRF. Now I welcome ma'am for the technical session to deliver the speech. Thank you, ma'am, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Akil. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, NDRF, for giving me an opportunity to be part of this internship program. And I welcome all of my young friends who are listening to me, who are going to have a very bright future, not just because they are attending this internship program, but also we are making quite a good progress as a country. With this, I would like to start my session today with the topic modern quality concepts. Okay, here is a slide that is putting some questions, throwing some questions at you, which is more relevant for people who are at their workplace, but it definitely applies to you all because you are future software developers, entrepreneurs, so here is some issues that people go through when they are at work. One, they find there's not enough time to get the deliverables out. The other, they can't find the right documents. It could be user manuals, it could be code, software development code, or requirements. All of these documents, they're not able to find that in time. It could be that they're not able to remember what to be done next. It could be the communication issues that they are having with their boss or with the subordinates, all of these, right? And these are some of the common issues that we would see, not just as a working professionals, but also we would have encountered this as students in the college, right? And I have tried to design my slide in such a way that it is more towards the technical students with the circuit branch background. So some slides might also reflect the manufacturing quality. I'll try to do my best in bringing those concepts in the service sector, which you all are going to be part in future. To begin with, I would like to give you a quick statistics, about how many developers in worldwide we have. It's about 26 million. And out of those 26 million, India alone supplies more than 5.2 million developers. So with that statistics, I want to say that with the right background and right concepts in mind, if you guys go out in the world and develop code or develop a product or even bring up a service-oriented product, these concepts should reflect in those work. Not just in your project work, but it has to reflect in future wherever you go, right? So I've made an effort to put in all those concepts here, and I'm not sure if the time would permit to go through all the slides. There are about 35 plus slides here. So we'll go through it. Let's see if we can cover everything. Okay. Here's a slide which is asking you a question. Are you a positive thinker or a negative thinker? Now, how does that affect the project or the workplace, right? Say if you're a negative thinker, you're inside the box, and after some time, you're just working in silo and you would give up, right? What happens if you're a positive thinker? You are working with your team member, trying to solve the problem. You're having that systems thinking and a bigger picture, not just looking at a short-term goal, right? So you are bringing all that wider perspective. So you're trying to build stuff together with the positive attitude. Now, just the positive thinking, would it help? Actually, no. You need to have the right tools to support you in achieving those goals, be it the short-term goals or the long-term goal. So here is a few slides which will talk about the main concepts of quality, right? What is quality? We'll start from the basics. Quality means fitness for use. This is a very traditional definition. A more modern definition for quality would be quality is inversely proportional to variability. What does that mean? It's the degree to which an inherent set of characteristics fulfills the requirements. The wider your distribution, the standard distribution, if wider it is, you're deviating from the target, the mean, right? I have that in the next picture here. This is a sample chart which is showing the difference between the warranty cost. On the left-hand side, you see a chart which is showing the warranty cost for transmissions in United States. The cost is so high compared to the warranty cost for transmissions in Japan. You can take the example of Ford versus Toyota, right? Now, if you put this statistics in a bell-shaped curve, which is shown in your right-hand side here, the first curve, which is the narrower Japan, it's so close to the target, variability is less. That means the rework is less, scrap is less, and they're more closer to the target or your mean. The more the variability, more it deviates from your target, the quality is lower. Right. So with that, what is quality improvement? It is the reduction of this variability in process and products. And as engineers and future professionals, you need to understand the 8 dimensions of quality which are shown on the screen right now, which is the performance. Say if you are a coder or a developer, the code that you develop should perform correctly, meeting the goals and the requirements of the customer. Should be reliable, should be durable, it should be serviceability, means whatever is required and given by your customer, it should serve that purpose, right? Aesthetics, of course, whatever the UX or the UI designs that you guys are building, it should have that aesthetic aspect to it, and features that you provide in your software or in your product. All of these should be taken care. Perceived quality as perceived by the customer, the usability and the reliability, all of these play a role. And of course, conformance to standards. This is where most companies, they actually shell a lot of money in getting either the ISO standards or the CMMI requirements, so that the competition out there, they can meet that. They streamline their processes within the company, they go for these standards and provide a better service to the customer, right? Traditional approach quality, how it was back then, and compare that with the quality now, which is more of a continuous improvement that we look into, right? So back then it was more of a market share focus. Right now, the focus is on the customer. Customer is the boss, he's the king, right? Back then it was more of an individual effort, where you saw that that little cartoon was sitting inside the box and thinking negative and giving up. Now it's more of a cross-functional team. You work with across, and as a team you build the product. Then focus on who and why. It was back then, who did this, why they did that, right? Now the focus is what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. So it's more of a systems perspective. And then they had the short-term focus earlier. Now it's all long-term. It's a continuous improvement, one after the other. You keep achieving the incremental improvement, and again, you don't stop there. You keep moving on, right? You keep setting up new targets. And then traditional approach is that you're happy with the status quo and don't want to do much. Now it's not the same. Once you achieve it, you keep improving yourself, right? And then back then it was more of a firefighting, but now it's more of a problem solving, being proactive. You are ensuring that the code or the product that you're developing is addressing the quality right from the beginning, right when the ideation stage, right when the design is happening, you inbuild that quality. And finally, at the bottom in red, I have put in innovation is quality, and I will come to that in the last slide, and I'll elaborate that more there. Okay, how did it all start? It started with total quality management, which actually, to be honest, was a failure in America, for that they, after World War II, they sent best of their people, quality gurus like Deming, Juran. They visited Japan, built quality with them. They came up with new concepts. Japanese built products based on these quality concepts. They adapted it so well. And when they came back to US, for their surprise, US did not accept these quality concepts for many reasons, right? And they actually failed in providing better quality product as compared to the Japanese product. Well, it started with Schuhart, who's considered as one of the gurus of quality in 1920s, and Bell Labs. He came up with a lot of statistical process control. He actually also came up with a model called PDSA, Plan, Do, Study Act, which was later on taken by Deming, and he called it as PDCA, Plan, Do, Check Act, which is a very, very popular basic planning tool. You can utilize that even in your day-to-day activities, even to get to your work or get to your college. You can just apply this, and you plan, you act on it, and check whether you've done it right. So very simple model, PDCA. And then Juran came up with a triology, and then Feigenbaum and Ishikawa diagram. I'm going to show it to you later in one of the slides, how cause and effect diagrams are used. And then Crosby came up with a concept of zero defect. He also said quality is free. What it means is it's not free as in cost free. What he meant was quality should be incorporated right from the design phase, embedded in each thinking, thereafter, so that you don't spend on too much of money in the quality department in checking and inspecting. And that is what he meant. And then Taguchi gave a lot of good concepts on cost of quality. And further, there were many other advancements which have happened, but this I've just captured a few in this framework. Of course, total quality management focused on continuous process improvement, keeping customer in mind. And you can see that there are a list of tools over there, which some of it I've highlighted in the coming slides. Let's move on. What is quality system and standard, and why do we need to know that today, right? These are some of the guidelines that are given by this international organization when if there are 10 companies applying for request for proposals, right? The company that has the right set of processes in place and which has gone in for these standards might have a better chance in winning those proposals because it's presumed that when companies have a good processes in place, they are better in delivering their product. So keep in mind, these quality standards are very, very important, and ISO 9000 is one of such standards which has a quality management system. You can see that they have some categories like fundamental requirements and guidelines for performance improvement, and there are much more where there is ISMS and multiple other models within the ISO standards. We're not going to get to the details of everything, but I just want to give you a flash of all of these various different quality standards. Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. This is one of the popular ones used in US, not much in other countries, but they also have some guidelines similar to the ISO. And it can be applied in any domain, healthcare or education or business, manufacturing or service sector. Okay. Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a methodology. You might have heard about this. The latest trend is more on design thinking, but Six Sigma also is still prevalent in many companies. They're still applying it for the fact that it focuses on reducing the defect. The Motorola first came up with the terminology as Six Sigma, but the right definition to Six Sigma was given by GE. It adopted Six Sigma so well. And statistical definition of it equates to 3.4 defects per million opportunities. And I have a curve right in the next slide. Before that, these are some of the advantages of adopting Six Sigma. It will help you in giving a framework for any process improvement. It also has various models like DFSS or DMADV, where you can redesign the entire process. Or if you want to improve an existing process, then you can use DMAC, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. It can be applied in any areas, manufacturing sector or service sector. And here is the bell curve showing all the sigma levels. If it is 1 sigma, the defect parts per million defective is about 6,97,000, which is very high, as compared to 6 sigma, which is about 3.4 defects per million opportunities, right? And there's some statistics how they do the calculation. There's a 1.5 shift, sigma shift and all that. I'll not get to the details of it, but I would want you all to be aware of these concepts and use plug and play wherever it's necessary, right? And it's very important as young professionals to know what is available in the field of quality. Again, quality is equal to the performance by the expectation. The denominator is the expectation. So if you have to have quality greater than 1, then your performance have to be much, much higher, which will lead to the customer satisfaction. Here is a framework which combines the design for Six Sigma along with the DMAIC, and a very, very important and simple to understand concept like lean. It's an amalgam of all that here that's shown, and a person who is looking for eliminating waste and improving the cycle time, they can just use lean, or they can mix the lean concepts along with the Six Sigma DMAIC to eliminate defects and reduce variability. Of course, this will lead to the better cycle time, right? Here on the left-hand side, you can see there's design for Six Sigma. Like I earlier mentioned, there is a specific model called DMAD-V, define, measure, analyze, design, and validate. That is for coming up with a whole new process or a product. You can apply that, and you can have better robust design for your product or the process. With this, I think it's important for you all to know some of the Japanese quality concepts. Simple yet important to know. Kaizen is a Japanese term for continuous improvement. Kai means to change or to modify. Zen means think, make good, make it better. Kaizen together make it easier by studying it and making the improvement through elimination of waste. Now, Japanese concepts very much focuses on waste, and they have defined 7 ways, actually 8 ways, and I'm going to come to that very soon. Why do we need to focus on these ways? Here is the reason. It'll help in better utilization of resources, product quality increases, use of capita, communication, like we saw in the first slide, communication is also an issue. Communication becomes easier because in this age of information, any small bit of data is going to help us a lot, right? So this kind of a setup, if we have in our workplace, or even when we are doing a project, if we apply these concepts, then the risk of project failure is lower, right? Let's go to the next slide. Here, I've just highlighted the 3 M's of lean, which is Muri, Mura, and Muda. Muri is overburden. This could very well apply to, I'm just going to minimize this. This very well applies to the service area as well. Overburden. For example, you have done a code which is very lengthy, and your system is taking longer time to process it, right? You're overburdening the system right there. If you can automate it and make it simpler, that's the best thing. You're reducing Muri there. Mura translates to inconsistency. For example, you have given your product development for 3 different companies who have 3 different kind of processes in developing a code, completely inconsistent. You try to merge it, and we exactly had the same issues recently when we were trying to build a product for the government of Karnataka, where you have given the project in bits and you're trying to merge it together. There's inconsistency in the way they have developed, right? So that is a very what can I say? It will cost us more. One, rework would be more, and then actually the errors would be more, right? Muda is the surplus or the extra waste. You're making things weight, and that could be your interaction with the various departments. You're making the other department wait because you're not done with your work. So the other department is just idle, right? So all of those adds up to the waste. And there is a small keyword that I have given you for you to remember the 7 waste. Tim would. What does it stand for? Let me show you here in the next slide. 7 ways. 1, overproduction. Inventory, making extra items and making it sit. It's definitely not a good idea. I would want to mention how Walmart works on the inventory part, right? I've heard that 90% of Walmart's inventory are on the trucks on the road. So that is how good they are in their supply chain and logistics management. They keep their inventory very, very low, and just in time, when the products are required, it gets replenished in the store. Waiting is another waste which will add to the cost. And then movement of materials, that is more for the manufacturing, but also if we think about our development cycle in the software world, motion could be the more of communication and getting the code from one area to the other, you're transferring the code to build, again bringing it back. All of these extra work, rework, all of these leads to cost. Transportation, again the movement of resources. Rework is extra time. Time is money, right? So as much as possible, we should get the design right, get the requirements right early on, so that there's no much of rework. And then having too many code lines, which is not required over there, you're just making the system run for a longer time. That also leads to waste. These are the 7 ways. There's an 8th ways, which is also very, very important, is the unused human talent. We haven't been identifying the right skills, and if they are there, we don't know how our employees are, and we don't utilize them to their maximum potential. That could lead to a loss, right? So here is a 5S, which is sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. These are very simple yet important things. You can just use this to organize your home place, organize yourself, organize your laptops. This can be applied anywhere. This is very, very it's more of built on, yet we fail to adopt it many times. How does these concepts help? You can see on the left hand side, I've listed here 0 changeovers leading to product service diversification, because you're diverting all your attention towards improving yourself. 0 defects leading to higher quality. You don't have to do the rework, you don't have to spend on the scrap. All of these reduces. 0 waste leading to lower costs. 0 delays leading to on-time delivery. 0 injuries, promoting safety. This is more on the movement of people in the manufacturing world. Of course, sometimes we can apply this in service industry as well, from a the emotional perspective. Sometimes we end up talking bad when things are not delivered on time, and it leads to emotional imbalance as well with the employees. So we could actually extrapolate all of these manufacturing related defects to the service sector. 0 breakdowns, bringing better maintenance. Here is a slide which is showing you simple techniques how to keep track. On the left hand side, you can see that there are some color codes used. Green means there's enough stock. Yellow means the stock is getting less, so you have to replenish it sooner. You're preparing for it. And red, once you reach red, that means you're out of stock, right? This is the visual control used in a manufacturing company. How do we apply this to a service sector where we are developing code? And I actually picked one of our project slide here to make you guys understand that how we do lean in our government setup with building these products for public, right? So we have the FRS, which is the functional requirement specification. We met that, so that's green. Drafting the software requirement specification, that was met, it's green. Database design, that was met, it's green. Development was green. System testing and functional testing and performance testing, they were not able to deliver it on time. So the first 2 weeks it was yellow. We knew that it's not possible. At that point, if we had bumped up our resources, maybe we could have met it. But even then, even increasing the resources at that point won't help, because they go through the learning curve, and we ended up in the red for the testing part. Then again, we have the security audits, UAT testing, training, and launch. So this is how, even in a software world, you can use these visual controls to show how your project is progressing. Further, Kanban. What is Kanban? Means visual, Ban means signal. Again, these are some of these Kanban concepts which are used in manufacturing world. In service sector, there was a company that I had long time consulted with, and they were using a broad app called Jira, and it was built on this Kanban concept, where if a boss assigns a task, it pushes the task to the subordinate, and it signals him saying that you have a new task waiting for you, right? So all of these simple things those are applied in our apps these days. Moving on, here is another comparative study. I wanted to give you guys a example on push versus pull system, right? On the top right hand corner, that is an example how it is push versus pull in a manufacturing setup. You can see that guy is kind of pushing the work to the next, that's a work in process items, and he's pushing those items to the next department, right? Versus the next person on the top, he is pulling the work to his department. Now, how is it applied in our software world? I would say in the bottom, you can see there is a waterfall model, which was a very popular one for a long time, where software development happened based on these steps. There was conception, the after conception, the initiation happened, then the analysis, then the design, then the build of the code, and then they tested it. Once the testing was done, then they deployed, right? So the time consumption for all of these took probably a year long to finish the product, right? And sometimes it used to happen that by the time they developed these projects or product, the requirement was not there anymore. Maybe the competitor came up with a better one already, right? So here is an agile version on your right hand side bottom, where the conception and initiation and the steps are same, but it is an iterative process. So you have use cases based on the requirements of the customer. You develop your use cases, storyboards, use cases, and as and when you develop your use cases, you're pushing those use cases to the development team. They're testing it, and then they are deploying it. So it is an iterative process. You're not waiting for everything to be done till the end. So this is one of the push and the pull system concept that can be seen with the waterfall model and the agile model. Okay, now what is quality in terms of software, right? Software quality is a field of study and practice that describes the desirable attributes of software product. Now it is very, very key thing for you all youngsters to have these concepts inbuilt in yourself, so that when you do any kind of work, you keep these things in mind and develop products or services based on these concepts. Need for quality, again, if you don't have quality, then you're gone in the competition. This is a very competitive world out there, where an 8th standard student is coming up with apps, better apps than much older person, right? So competition is way too high. Important thing is you keep quality in mind when you design it, when you come up with an idea. Always look for what is that wow factor that the customer will be looking for, and how can you deliver that, right? How can you make it work? Then there's changing customer. So that's always a risk there. So you better have the quality inbuilt in your product or services. Changing product mix, product complexity, higher levels of customer satisfaction, The quality of your work defines you. So branding is something that these days you can see, all of you youngsters want the branded products, right? Nike or whatever that you guys are hooked upon, the Apple products or something. You are hooked upon these brands because they give you quality products, right? So moving on. Here are some definitions for you guys to know what is a quality plan, quality assurance, and quality control. The quality plan is the process of identifying quality requirements and standards for the project and product, and documenting how the project will demonstrate compliance. And these definitions are taken from the Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK. So these are standard definitions. Quality assurance is the process of auditing the quality requirements and the results from quality control measurements to ensure appropriate quality standards and operational definitions are used, right? Quality assurance is more on your processes. At a high level, it looks into the entire process, whether it is meeting the standards. Now, quality control is for one specific task, how good that is performing and adding up to the overall quality. The process of monitoring and recording results of executing the quality activities to assess performance and recommend necessary changes, right? So all three are very, very important. You should have a good plan. You should have a good quality assurance where there are some guidelines and processes that are set in place, and then there's control to check on how you're performing. So this is also like a cycle, right? If one thing gives you a wrong indication, like when you're doing your quality control and there are a lot of errors, then you fix your quality plan, ensure that these, proactively these errors are fixed. Here is a comparison of systems. On the left-hand side, there is a lot of process failure because your business and IT are two different entities, and there's a lot of interaction happening in a haphazard way, right? And it's very hard to get the metrics. Quality control, it's very hard to get the quality control in place. Now, on your right-hand side, if you see your businesses and IT are organized together and bridged together by a governance team, where the governance team is interacting with both your IT development team and the business, and they also are providing all of these interactions that are required. So it's more organized. Here is a systems view where your processes are in your at your center, how it operates, and you have the right people with the right talent to build the business and build the product required. You have the right tools and technology which will enable you to get to the customer requirement, what they are requiring, and build a better product using the right tools. And of course, there's services which are provided to the business customer. All of this systems thinking would help you in understanding what needs to be done to get a better quality product. Now, there's an equation given here: improved processes plus the competent workforce plus the appropriate technology. All three would lead to reduced risk of project failures. It could be missed commitment, it could be late delivery, it could be last minute crunches, a spiraling cost, or too many surprises at the end. All of these are all the risks, the employee morale is down, or there's too many customer complaints that you can't handle within the company, functions not working correctly. All of these leads to risk. So you're reducing your risk, and the productivity is getting higher, and the quality is also getting better by focusing on the processes, your workforce, and the technology. Now, if I do not bring the CMMI concepts here, then I might be leaving a gap for you guys. So it is important for me to talk about CMMI today, because in the software world, this is more widely used. Many companies, they work at CMMI level 2 or 3, so that their processes are streamlined. And as I said, when they're competing with providing the proposals, a company with CMMI certification might be picked or selected versus the other companies for the fact that their processes are streamlined and they are more reliable, right? So what is CMMI? It's a collection of best practice. It was developed by Software Engineering Institute, Carnegie Mellon, along with the defense of US. They brought in all these good concepts from Schuhart, Crosby, Deming. They put all those principles together and they have made a good set of guidelines. And CMMI development is it's a comprehensive integrated set of guidelines for developing products and services. So having worked on CMMI for about 5 years, I actually worked with a software company deploying the CMMI level. And I'll tell you, my friends, it is not an easy task to get the company CMMI certified. One, because of the high cost. The company has to shell a lot of money and getting their processes right. It is a lot easier for startups to adopt this and get there because their processes are not yet defined. They can just do it right from the beginning. But if the company is already there for years, getting them to change that itself is a big challenge in the companies. And of course, CMMI tells you what to do. It will give you the set of guidelines, but it will definitely not tell you how you can do that, right? That how part is the team that has to figure it out with, coming up with the templates, coming up with the framework. Maybe for me, because I came from a Six Sigma background, it was easy for me to just deploy those Six Sigma steps. And I was instrumental in getting their CMMI level 2 certification. Here are some examples of the companies that have gone for CMMI certification. These are all the multinational companies, Northrop Grumman or Honeywell. All of these have gone in for this CMMI certification. What are the advantages? Productivity is higher, quality is high, improved cycle time, more accurate and predictable schedules and budgets, which is the key thing for customers, improvement in organization control over projects, meet project goals, and improvement in business and growth. And there are three frameworks which are shown here, which is product and service development. CMMI is also available for management. It is also available for acquisition. So those are the three areas that CMMI right now they have the framework for. And CMMI also talks about generic and specific goals. This is more so to do with the continuous representation. Here on the screen, you can see that there are two models or methods for CMMI. One is a continuous representation on the top, and here on the bottom, there's a staged representation. Continuous representation is the one where it talks about generic goals, specific goals, and these generic goals are common across other process areas. So you can simultaneously apply these concepts across other areas and continuously keep achieving the capability levels. That is continuous representation. And in staged representation, it is more of a maturity level. It is applied for one specific process area. You get the things right for that process area. Once you have achieved that, then you move on to the next process area, unlike the continuous representation, right? Now, here is a representation of each levels of CMMI. There are 5 levels. It starts with the initial, which is very basic. Any company, when they enter the market, when they are probably 1-person or 2-person company, they are in that bottom level, which is the heroic effort. Based on their capability, they're getting things done, but their system and processes are not streamlined. So if you can see on the right hand side, the risk and waste are way too higher at the level 1. Then you move on to the level 2, which is more of a managed processes. You focus more on project management, be it the project planning or monitoring and control, measurement and analysis. Focus on all of that. So your productivity and quality is little higher compared to level 1. And then there is next level, which is the 3rd level, define, which is the process standardization. You look into a lot of requirements development, you look into the verification and validation of the metrics, risk management. All of these are focused in level 3. Again, this leads to a better productivity and quality, and it also reduces the risks and waste. And the fourth level is quantitatively managed. Once you have all of these 3 basic ones in place, then you look into the quantitative management, where you have metrics completely defined for all processes, and you're able to show it to your customer that here is our metrics and here is our outcome for you, right? And then the fifth level is optimization, which is a continuous process improvement. Once you have achieved all of these basic things, you continuously keep developing it. At that point, it's causal analysis and resolution. At that point, your productivity and quality is very high, and there is no risk or waste, right? And achieving each of these levels is not easy. It's very, very expensive, because the companies have to spend a lot, not just for the certification, but also internally for their internal customers. They have to train them, get them to that level, and ensure that these practices are followed day in, day out. Now, here are a few tools that are, like I said earlier when I was starting my talk, few tools that you guys should have it very handy and should be thinking in these lines when you're looking into some processes, right? On the top left-hand corner, you have the cause and effect diagram, which is also called as the Ishikawa diagram or the fishbone diagram, where you have an effect, which is your problem statement, and you define your causes. What are the causes for this effect, right? And usually the basic causes can be categorized as material, method, machine, measurement, personal, and environment. So if you take the example of a biscuit company, the unbaked biscuits, that is an effect. What were the causes? Maybe the material consistency was not right, material used was not right, method of mixing the dough was not right, or the machinery was going through, it was an old machine, maybe there was some wear and tear in the machine, it had slowed down, so maybe inconsistency in mixing it, that could be the machine issue, cause, or measurement, maybe measuring, while measuring the raw materials, that itself was wrong, measuring the instruments that were used, that itself was wrong. So all of those, right? Personal, maybe there was unskilled person baking, that could also lead, or maybe the manpower didn't show up that day, so it delayed the processes. And the environment, maybe the temperature that was used was not, can lead to a biscuit not coming out in the right consistency, right? So this is how a cause and effect diagram can be used. Applies to the software world, very, very similar to how manufacturing world can use that. Here on the right hand side, you have the histogram, where this frequency diagram which shows the issues. These are not prioritized. So I like this one in the bottom left, which is the Pareto diagram. This is very, very helpful in prioritizing your issues and segregating the vital few from the trivial many. You focus on the vital few and get those vital few issues sorted. 80% of your problem is solved. So it is also called as 20-80 rule, 80-20 rule, right? Very, very popular and commonly used in the industries. And then you have this run chart, which gives you the trend, upward trend or downward trend, and a lot of information can be looked into, analyzed using these charts. One other very effective tool is the failure modes and effects analysis. This is one tool that I want you guys, my young friends, to know and use in your projects, or in when you go out in the world and start working. You should know this. What this tool does is, you have all the potential failure modes listed, right? And for each of these failure modes that you have listed, you put a severity to it. how severe are these issues? On a scale of 10, you could say if it is a very serious issue, you could put 8 or 9 or 10. If it's a medium, you can rate it as 5, and then if it's very low, 1. So you can actually prioritize based on the severity, based on the occurrence. How frequently are these issues occurring? If it is just occurring once in 10 years, you don't have to worry about it. But again, severity also matters at that point. So it's important to know how frequently it is occurring. And finally, how easy is it to detect? Some of our issues are very, very hard to detect, especially in the software world. When we are coding, it becomes very hard, and you'll have to have double eyes on the code and ensure that the errors are detected, right? So detection, giving a rating to that also matters. So once you have rated based on the severity, occurrence, and detection, if you multiply these, there is a factor. Risk priority number is the factor that you would get. Based on the risk priority number, which is shown here, you can prioritize and actually come up with the action plan and focus on that more than the other ones, right? So if you can see here in this example, 196 risk priority number, cash not disbursed, pretty high risk, right? And the very severe. So you immediately put an action plan in place. Okay, this brings to our last slide, and I think we have some time for question and answer. So I'll just take a quick 1 minute and explain this slide. I would not spend more time because I believe Dr. Ram Kumar from IIT Kanpur gave a very wonderful talk on design thinking last week for you guys. I hope you all got to listen to what he was saying, because this is our coming up methodology. Six Sigma, all of those are good, but design thinking is for those people who don't have the data prior, but yet they're looking at coming up with an innovative product, right? So what do you do at that point? You use design thinking, where the first step focuses on empathizing with your customer. Knowing customer is the critical thing. Customer is the boss, like I said earlier. So knowing the customer is the critical thing. And how do you know the requirements, right? There are various methods. You can brainstorm, you interview, you can survey, all of these. And design thinking actually, and of course the quality, 7 quality tools also gives you a lot of those equipments. They'll equip you with those tools, but you need to know what are the right things to do in the framework, right? So first you empathize with your customer, knowing their requirements, then you ideate, define, prototype, and finally you can test and give it out to the world. Now, here is a very key question that I want you guys to live with, right? And it's something that if you're coming up with a new product, these are the 4 key questions you should ask yourself. And here, what is the state where you need to know the requirements of your customer. Okay, once you know the current state, what if that is where you're coming up with new ideas, you're designing it, and what if I do it differently like this, right? If I do a thing differently, would it wow the customer? That is the next question you have. What wows? And why do we need to look into that wow factor? Because that is what the customer wants, and we can do it. We can do it with the same effort, looking into things differently, right? And of course, we need to consider the economic aspect for it so that the wow factor sustains. And finally, what works, right? So you have the wow factor, you know what if, you know what is, you have answered all of these. Now, what works? That needs to be defined. And once you have achieved these and answered these questions, right there, you're giving something that your customer is looking for, right? So with this concept, I want to leave you guys. For all the questions, I think there is an option for you to type, and I'll open up the floor for Ankit, I guess. Yeah, Akhil. Akhil, if you can let me know if there are any questions, I can take it right now.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session, which had a elegant and knowledgeable speech on modern quality concept for circuit branch of engineering. Now, let me start on third section, question and answer session. So, the first question is from PD Babu that uh, could you brief the quality related certification or training for fresh engineering graduate? I repeat the question. Could you brief on quality related certification or training for fresh graduates to enhance employability? This is a question.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Okay. I would say, because I have the design thinking slide here, there are a lot of courses available on Coursera, Udemy, NPTL. They have very good courses on Swayam. Our own NPTL talks about design thinking. I would recommend our students to go in there and check out the design thinking courses for the certification. ASQ has a good Six Sigma certification. So the students can go in and check out ASQ website and get themselves Six Sigma. There's levels to it. There's green belt. You start from yellow belt, green belt, and then there's black belt, and then master black belt. Definitely those things will help. And then if you are actually getting into the service sector, it is important to know ITIL, in Information Technology and Infrastructure Library. That also read upon that, and there are some certifications available online. You can take those certification programs as well. All of these would definitely help. And of course, our NPTL also offers quality assurance certification programs, and Coursera has, Udemy has, all of these certifications will add value to your resume.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is how India is following on the designing as well as the quality management.
Well, that's a very, very interesting question. As far as second half, and answer that better, how are we following the quality management? I think we are doing quite well in applying these concepts, quality management concepts, because see, one, the standards are coming from various places. We have to abide by those standards. When it comes to design, it gives me a question of, are we designing enough better quality products in-house? The ideas that are coming in the colleges, are they actually getting to the phase where we can patent it and then get to the commercialization of these products? I think we still need to work on that. There are a lot of students, very, very creative ideas come up, but we lag in getting it commercialized. So somewhere the gap has to be bridged in. Are we there yet? No, but I'm sure there is a lot of effort going on. There are a lot of programs that are launched recently by the state government and the central government to encourage the students to come up with their ideas which can sustain in the market, right? So, so to answer your question, I think we do have good quality management system, but when it comes to designing better quality products, we need to still work on that.
Thank you, ma'am. Our last question is execution of quality concept is based on culture and beliefs of people. Could we embrace foreign
sorry,
quality?
Akhil, can you repeat?
Yeah, ma'am. I will repeat my question. The last question is execution of quality concept is based on culture and beliefs of people. Could we embrace foreign quality concepts as they are for Indian applicants?
Okay, I understood the first part. It's definitely quality is a culture that we have to get embedded. And if you observe right through my talk, I kept telling that my young professionals should understand these concepts. And while they're building a product or a service, these concepts should be in their mind and embedded in whatever they do. It's just not in their product. Every action they take, it should reflect. What was the second point you said? What was the second part of the question?
How the foreign quality concepts affect on Indian applications.
How does the foreign concepts apply on Indian setup, right? Well, see, I will tell you something. Quality is beyond culture, it's beyond countries, and there is no boundary to it. Now, we cannot confine that quality standards and setup in US, we cannot apply here. No, that's not the case, right? The standards and tools are already available there. What we need to know and do is how we can fit it into our culture and lead to the same improved productivity, improved efficiency, and better quality products. We can customize some of these models, we can customize some of it to our Indian concept, yet not compromise on the quality. So to answer your question, all of these good concepts which were developed in defense of US, or it could be Indian Army also has come up with many good concepts. It could be in the process management or project management. All of these good concepts which are developed in defense can be applied anywhere worldwide in any sector, in any domain. It's not confined to one country or one particular domain. It's open.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful answer.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now it's end of the session, as ma'am conducted a total technical session in a beautiful manner, answer the question. Before ending the session, I would like to remind the participants for tomorrow's program schedule. So tomorrow we will meet at same time at 5 p.m. in the evening. Tomorrow there will be 2 sessions for all branch. The topic will be on waste to wealth technology and additive manufacturing innovative application. We at NDRF proudly thank the speaker of the day, Srimati Archana Magadi, for giving an overview on the topic of modern quality concept for circuit branches of engineering, and also we thank the speaker for providing comprehensive clarification on the queries raised by the participant. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for a wonderful presentation. I thank all the participants for actively intercepting in this internship. Please join our next section. Thank you, and over to you, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhil. And I want to thank NDRF, especially Dr. Dilip Babu and our Shankar Reddy, sir, for conducting these sessions wonderfully and making our youngsters equipped with all of these important concepts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.